Welcome to the Body Science Podcast. As always, the information contained in this podcast is for the information purposes only and is not designed to diagnose or be prescriptive to treat, prevent, or manage any injury, disease, or other health-related condition.
Welcome to Body Science HQ, the world of fit, happy, healthy. And I've got with me Whippet. How are you, mate?
Mate, I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah. Just before we jog forward a little bit, how are you on Bondi Rescue now that you're a Gold Coaster?
I'll still be commuting.
You commute?
Commuting back and forth. I've got obviously 2 gyms that I'm still part owner in and managing down in Sydney. Yes, while we have relocated to the Gold Coast, which so far has been very, very good.
Yeah.
I'll still be heading back and forth. The beauty of that is it's only an hour away on a plane and we can do it pretty easy. So still be doing a few shifts down the beach and I love that job. So
that's cool that you can work in 2 different cities, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's a testament to my wife that she can hold the fort while I'm gone. But she always mentions it's probably easier at home when I'm gone for a couple of days anyway.
Yeah, nice.
One less kid to look after.
Well, yeah, there's a house full of them there, isn't there?
There is.
I saw you guys down the beach the other day. You definitely bring the crowd when you come for a surf.
Yeah, I know. We're not an easy. So we're like a bit of a moving circus kind of thing. We're just one on the balance bike, 2 are surfing or dog, whatever. There's a full gang of us getting around.
And mate, why did you move to Goldie?
Mate, the Goldie move's been it's been something we've discussed as a fam, like between my wife and I. She's originally from here, and I met her when I was living up here in 2004. So next year will be 20 years.
Oh, so you met her up here?
Yeah, she's a Gold Coast girl, or originally a Kiwi who moved here when she was about 3. So her family's up here, and I moved here for a year to study at uni when I was about 20. I spent a lot of time in nightclubs and enjoying myself then, and finally got through the year of study. But that was the best thing that came out of it, was meeting her, and that's 20 years next year. So It's always been on our radar to move back, and the time felt right with the age that the kids are and schooling and stuff. So we just decided to give it a go for 12 or 24 months and see what happens. And if it's anything like the first couple of weeks, then I'm sure we're going to enjoy ourselves living up here full time.
Yeah, you look like you're having fun the other day, mate. You just mentioned that you've been married for 20 years. So 40.
I'm 40, yeah.
40?
Yeah.
How's that feel?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. When I was young, I used to look at 40-year-olds
and go, wee.
That guy's so old.
Yeah. I still look at him now and go, oh.
And now
you're 54, Greg.
And now now that I'm there, I don't feel any different than I did when I was 25, apart from the fact that my responsibilities have changed.
Yeah.
And I've got a few more niggles here and there from flogging the body over the years. But, mentally I still feel as fun and whatever as I was when I was 25. And so I don't really think age is an issue. And I reckon it's actually more of an opportunity to see how good you can get your body, or how good you can get your mind once you get that little bit older, a bit more clarity, and probably approach things a little bit more maturely than definitely a bit more maturely than I would have 20 years ago.
You love your endurance sports, like you swam the Channel. I'm clapping that in still. I still clap every time I see you on that. You're hitting this revolution of this new 40-year-old warrior, and you see it in gyms, and you see just Instagram itself. Like it's not the premise of young men anymore. It's like fitness is beyond that. Do you think when you were 25 that you could have swum the Channel? Like you look at the whole package?
No way.
Yeah.
Like in all honesty, I don't reckon, I don't know. I mean, I can't say I couldn't do it, because I probably would have made myself or found a way to do it. But my approach to it what I did it when I was 39, my approach to it at this age is a lot different, and my mind is a lot stronger now than it was, say, 10 years ago at 29. And I think I got through it better now than I would have then. And the other thing is I personally believe that, like, endurance-wise and even training-wise, you hit your peak in some areas when you're young, but I feel that some of our best years can be in this, like, 35 to 45, even older. Like, I look at some of the guys who train in my gym, they're in their 50s and they've looked after themselves, and, they enjoy a drink, they enjoy food, whatever. But if they're consistently doing the right things, they're still in such good shape, and they're surfing, they're running, they're doing all these things. And I look at them and I go, that's inspiration for me. And being in that field, I know what to do and how to do it. So it's just a matter of applying yourself. And I think the older you get, the better your mind gets at being able to do those things. So I'm 40s. Sweet with me.
Yeah. And so you mentioned your gym, E-Lab, like you're still part of that? Yep.
Yeah, still part owner there with Trent Langlands and Mark Mitchell. They're 2 of the best business partners you could ever ask for. And, like, in terms of Mark's been a physio for 20 plus years and, he does a lot of strength and conditioning, and his knowledge of the body is sensational. And so I learned so much from him. And on the other hand, you got Trent Langlands or Changa. He's training the best athletes in the world. And he's really found that niche with the jockeys at the moment and a lot of footy players. And, the things
Willie
I've
trains
learned
with
from
you guys,
him.
doesn't he?
What's that?
Willie?
Yeah, Mace. Yeah. Big Mace comes in. And even he comes to our classes and he's saying, I wish I knew about this and this style of training to have added to my footy days. They do a lot of heavy lifting, and he said it's a lot of, one-dimensional stuff to make him strong. But he said he moves as good as I've ever seen. For anybody who's watched Willie Mason train, I honestly think he moves as good as anyone I've seen in the gym. His footwork, and he's early 40s now as well. Yep. You bash your body playing footy. Most of them are struggling to walk or to do anything. He's still a weapon. It's a credit to him but he trains hard. I know he does stuff outside of our gym, and he does at least 3 classes a week at our gym, and then he does, he's all over the place training. So
he's still doing sprint training and stuff too.
He still trains with Roger, and as I said, he moves so well for someone in their 40s.
And do you think it's a really cool place where eLab is, like what you got? Because your gym's really different.
Yeah.
Like when you walk into it, you go, wow, this is cool. Wow.
Yeah, it's something we created it through what we saw was a gap in the market. We were running other style, more just that straight up group training kind of get in. And I think, while we were younger, we kind of had that mentality of come in, rip in as hard as you can.
Sweet high five.
Yeah, get out, all that sort of stuff. But Mark moved to Sydney as a physio and was set up in the same building as us, just borrowed a little room out the back of us, and he built an incredible physio business. And people would get injured, they'd go and see him. And they'd come back to class probably a little bit early. Yep. And then they'll re-injuring themselves. And we're like, there's got to be something in that space of you want to be back feeling like you're training hard, but you're still nurturing those injuries, or you're nurturing post-pregnancy, or you're, post-surgery or whatever. So we created eLab on the back of being able to give people a safe place to be able to enjoy the community feel of group training, get what they need out of it in terms of your calorie burn and feeling like you've worked hard, but in an environment where if you can't do burpees or you can't do box jumps, you're not doing them. We're giving you a different exercise. And so it's a personalized group training session, and it's our injury rate or our lack of injury rate is phenomenal now compared to, what other gyms I see around. And I think when people come to us, having been at other places, they really notice that care. All of our trainers are either, long-term PTs or physios, exercise physiologists, all of those sorts of things. Yeah. So EPs, we've got all them guys working for us. And everyone who comes in gets a full body assessment. And so they know exactly what they can and can't do when they go to their first class. So it's a bit different, but I love that because it challenges us all the time to be able to find the same session for you, for me, for Willie, for my mum, my dad, and my little sister all in one room.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That creates its own challenges, but it also creates a really good training environment because everyone can inspire or get something out of someone else in the room. So yeah, it's doing well, and we love it down there.
Yeah, as a gym owner, are you missing the 4:30 get-ups in the morning?
I've got 3 kids, 4:30, and I don't know if anyone else notices, but in summer the birds shit the bed pretty quick up here, pretty early. They're up chirping at 4:15. The sun's up, but yeah, it's been a nice couple of weeks, not having to be, at the gym at 5 a.m. every day. I've been getting up and, going surfing with the kids or doing, going training myself. I've started doing some run swims down at Currumbin Creek with a few of the lads, and we're going to expand on that in the new year. And yeah, it's amazing for your own mind when you can get up and do something that you're choosing to do rather than feeling like you're going to work. Even though I love that style of work, it's been a good couple of weeks, but I won't be able to last too long before I'm doing something, training for some new adventure or an event or something like that.
And do you think it's all this, so you've got a really cool career. You're an actor as a kid. You were a semi-pro surfer, did the junior circuit.
Yeah, competed in
that.
Surfing,
and obviously lifeguard, and ended up owning gyms. Pretty cool. Do you reckon there's a correlation there between why you still are hitting endurance events in a big way at 40? And I mean, you've told me what you want to do next as well. You're redefining that space. Do you think that's got a lot to do with that whole journey that you had and the fact that you spent so long in places and with people in your ELAB family? Do you think that has a lot to do with where you're at?
I think like the acting when I was young, I sort of fell into that, and that gave me a really interesting and awesome childhood.
Someone sent me some footage of you doing that the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Dead set. Your kids are ringers. Exactly.
Yeah, my eldest one's exactly at me at 10 years old.
That was almost identical.
But yeah, like I sort of fell into that, but it opened my eyes to living a pretty full life.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing sheltered about it. Mum and Dad were awesome. They let me kind of experience a lot of things, and the people that I worked with were awesome in terms of looking after me and not letting me be exposed to too much, but also letting me see that, hang on, there's a lot of fun stuff to be done in this world. And if you just, when, they talk about, opportunity, like the crack in the door opens, I think you got to kick it open and see what's on the other side. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. If it does, perfect, it'll open up more. And for me, that side of my life sort of ended a little, well, what I thought sort of would end a little bit doing the TV stuff. That's when I went surfing and I traveled and, got to compete in England and France and travel to Hawaii and Indo and all that surfing as a young guy. And that was an epic couple of years as well, meeting and making friends all over the world, which I'm still in touch with 20 years later. So that was that. And then when I came home, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. And Kerbox said, mate, you spend that much time down the beach anyway, you might as well get paid for it. Come and give us a hand. And that's how that started. And then the show started a year or two after I started lifeguarding. And, we all thought it was a one-off, 1 hour documentary. That's literally what it got shown to us. And within 3 weeks, they had enough for like 5 episodes. So they said, oh, well, hang on, let's get 6 episodes out, see how it goes. And I think they're into their 17th, 18th year. They're about to start filming again this year.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I got a massage this morning, and the guy that used to own the butcher at Torquay said he knew you pretty well because you used to hang down there a lot.
Yeah, I used to go down there a lot with it, spend time with mates down there.
Yeah, he said you were down there heaps.
Yeah. But in terms of like how life's kind of pushing me to still do things, I think I've lived an active life and I've tried to stay healthy. And that's not to say you're an angel all times, but, on the whole, I think my good habits outweigh my bad habits. And, I'm around people that are forever wanting to be fit. Yeah. And that for me is, what do they say, that your 5 closest friends help define who you are or whatever it is. Like I spend time around people that are fit and healthy, whether it's, some of the lifeguards are some of the fittest guys I know.
Yeah.
And the competitiveness down there pushes me to always want to be at the top of my game. If something happens and I let them down, that would shatter me. So I never want that to happen. But also with the gym, I see people, as I said before, that are 50 or, older that are still smashing it. And I'm like, how good is that? Like that to me is epic. So if I can be doing that, then that's sort of the goal for me, and to keep pushing myself. And I've got 3 young kids that I've got to try and keep up with. So that keeps me
keep that purpose going. Mate, what are what'd you say, 18 seasons of Bondi Rescue? Honestly, what are your top 3 most memorable moments?
Top 3 most memorable moments.
Yeah. It's hard to do, isn't it? Because it's so big.
Yeah, it is. It's so big, and we're lucky. Like, I don't think people kind of really gave lifeguarding as a career or a job much credit before, I guess, they saw what happens at the beach. And I know a lot of the lifeguards up here on the Gold Coast, and everyone would think, they just get around down the beach and it's what an office and they don't do anything, which is what people thought of before they started seeing us filmed doing live resusces and rescues and all that. And so my appreciation for lifeguards around the world has always been super high, but to be able to have some of it on film, it gives us those memories to be able to keep holding on to. So for me, I think my biggest one's probably my first ever resus, which has probably been used in about 10,000 first aid courses now. And I didn't have to do too much because there was a lot of really experienced lifeguards there, but I was a part of, saving this young guy's life. And for me, that's the biggest reward of our job. So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
There's that. I did another resus on a local guy. Someone started screaming at us and we raced down in the buggy, and these 2 European guys had found him face down in waist deep water and dragged him in. And as I rolled him over, and I just looked and I was like, it's Timmy, like a local guy from down the beach at Bronny who I'd surfed with 1,000 times. And I was like, oh shit, this is a bad one. And we worked on him for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes before the ambos got there. We shocked him with the defib 3 times and then he came good.
No way.
Yeah. And he, as he left, he was still in a pretty bad way, but we had a heartbeat. he was breathing, semi-conscious. And I remember speaking to him. He had surgery and he came back with his wife. And speaking to him, he said the weirdest thing was, he said, I was surfing on a wave. And he said, and I felt everything just close in, and he had a heart attack like mid-wave.
No.
And just fell in. And that's why he was in waist deep water. He'd ridden it most of the way in. And he said, and I have no recollection of anything. And then that light that closed just started to open back up, and he said, and the only thing I could see was your face. And he said, and he goes, I think I just died. And he said, but I can't die in front of him. So that was a really weird little conversation we had. But I think as well, for me, like all the pranks and stuff with Kerbox and those days when HR were probably a little more lenient on what we were allowed to get away with and do to each other at work, was some of those things. Some of those days were the funniest days I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
I got to do that at work. So there's been plenty of good memories, and I hope they continue for a long time.
Do you guys all still hang out together? Like, have you got, you and Box are still mates? And do you all the lifeguards still come together? Like 18 years together, that's a massive family of. Yeah. And I assume it's not a high turnover.
No, it's a really tight knit crew. And some of the guys that I grew up with my whole life outside of lifeguarding, went to school with and stuff, that were lifeguards, and they've moved up here now, and so I'm getting to reconnect with them a lot with their kids. So once you're in there, you're pretty entrenched in that family, and I spend all my time outside of work with guys from work. Little Chase Hardacre, one of the he's younger guy down there now. He lives with my brother. He dates my niece. So it's very close knit, and we all get along super well. All our, Christmas, end of season, pretty much any time someone wants to go to the pub, they throw it on the group chat, and whoever's not working is like, yep, I'm there. So
that's cool.
It's a really good training environment, socializing environment, and it's one of the best. Like, I had 3 of the lifeguards at one time were 3 of my groomsmen at my wedding, and vice versa. So it's a pretty tight knit little group of guys, and it's a really enjoyable workspace for that reason.
And is it, from you mentioned HR and stuff a second ago, from a working perspective, do you get thousands of people trying to get jobs there?
It's not as busy as probably what you would think.
Okay.
It's like the criteria to pass any lifeguarding test is, you've got to have certain skill set. You've also got to be fit enough. You've got to want to age more rapidly than most people by spending that much time in the sun, hence the crow's feet. But we get it, you get a number of applications, but as I said, only a certain number of women or guys are suitable for the job each year. And sometimes finding new blood is actually more difficult than you'd think. But it's, as I said, it takes a certain type of person to want to do that job. And whilst 9 out of 10 days, I always say it, 9 out of 10 days it's the best job in the world, that one day is horrific. Yeah. When you're seeing a dead, like a body retrieval or a resus, or the boys had that one on that little baby, Harry's and Harrison, and that did that resus on the baby last season, and like things like that, they stay with you for life. So it's like fireys or police or paramedics. You've always got that in the back of your head that you're going to work and something bad might happen.
Yeah. How do you as a group manage 30,000 people coming to the beach? Like,
I prefer the busy days.
You do you?
Yeah.
Because you're just always on?
Yeah. I think your mind is, you get there and you go, right, we're on. The days that it's overcast and windy and there's people coming and going, there's dribs and drabs, it's a lot easier to switch off, and that's a lot of time when things go wrong. Yeah. For us, I love it when it's busy. We we'll have, say, 7 of the boys there, 30,000 on the beach, have one guy at North, which is generally a little bit safer. We'll have 2 buggies going, one on the jet ski, one in the tower, or 2 in the tower, and happy days. They're the best days. That time flies and everyone's just boom, 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 and you go and have beer in the shower or whatever have beer after work, and it's unreal.
I mean, I love the show. I've watched it heaps and I just piss myself laughing when I watch it, but you watch those days and we're all about risk assessment, everything we do, and I just look and go, how do you even go close to managing that?
And it's like any good workplace, you've got trust. Like, it's faith in the guys, or trust in the guys and girls that are around you. And if you've got that, then all you've got to do is your bit, and keep that little portion safe, and whoever's in the tower's kind of bird's eye viewing it. And you just got to do your bit and be there if someone else needs you. And if that happens, we don't lose many people for how busy Bondi is. And, we see it as a bad year if we lose one.
Yeah.
So yeah, for how many millions of people frequent that beach and swim every year, I think it's a pretty good ratio.
It's crazy. Is AI and stuff coming into that space at all? Like, is there cameras that look for, I guess with 30,000 people, no cameras handling that, is it?
We've got, there's cameras set up and I guess, they're good for after events because you can go back and you can, especially like, thieving and all that kind of stuff on the beach. They catch a lot of that. But in terms of rips, you can actually maybe monitor where you might see someone go in. If you lose someone, you can use them for that sort of stuff. But in terms of predicting and reacting, I don't think you'll ever outdo a human that's on point and ready to go. I'm not that technologically advanced, so that kind of stuff scares me.
Are they talking about drones dropping off? You know how you guys paddle out in some pretty crazy surf there. Are they talking about using drones and things in that space?
Yeah, there's been discussions around drones and, being able to drop like little inflatable rings and stuff like that. Again, a lot of that stuff takes so much skill set and if it's real windy, generally the surf's big and rough. If it's windy, you can't really fly them. You drop a little inflatable thing out, it flies 50 metres away from the person who needs it anyway. So I do really like them for being able to fly over with a speaker and alert people if they're in danger.
That's cool.
Like, hey buddy, you're in danger, you're in a rip, just paddle that, just swim that way or relax, someone's coming to get you. I think they're good for that. But in terms of actual rescuing things, rescuing people or whatever, I think we're pretty far off being able to outdo, a man or like a person on a jet ski or a woman on a board or whatever it is. Like, that's sort of still probably the most reliable.
This podcast is brought to you by the new BC Energy. Need a boost? You want that 160 megs of caffeine, 100% sugar-free, 3 flavours, Ice Blast, Berry Burst, Lime Crush. BC Energy is your answer. Whether you're looking to crush a can or crush a workout, Mark.
Raise the bar, raise the can.
Boom. And mate, you do a lot of water safety as well, and normally in how do I say stupid events in a nice way?
Fun conditions.
Fun conditions. That's a good way to put it. Probably I think Cape Fear was classified as one of the gnarliest events ever in the history of surfing.
Yeah, that was a good day. That was a pretty wild couple of days.
And you put your hand up to jump in the water as safety.
Can
I ask why?
Why? My wife said the same thing.
I'm sure she did.
There's a few reasons. One, like, I'm in awe of the boys that would take it off.
That was crazy.
Like that Cape Fear in 2016 with Red Bull, like, that was the hands down craziest sort of event I've ever seen. And I remember driving over. We knew it was going to be big, and we're driving across Botany Bay. Azza was driving a jet ski, and I was on this big pontoon inflatable thing. It's like 18 feet by 6 foot or whatever, and that was what we used in the case of an emergency. So a helicopter can pick up off it in the middle, and we anchored it out in the ocean. And we're driving across the middle of Botany Bay, and we went up this swell that was so big and it was dark. It was like the first cracks of light, and the wind got under it and flipped me off. I started screaming, and I hate that body of water anyway. Screaming, and he came back and picked me up, and I said, did you feel how long we went up that swell for? And he was like, mate, it's massive. And we got there and we were looking at this wave and we were like, that's really big. And then we realized that wasn't even where the wave breaks, and it was breaking in a spot I'd never even seen it break. And I was like, oh my, outrageous. And the noise, and we were out there on the jet skis, and they were like, should we have it or should we not? And kind of comes down a bit to the surfers' call, a bit to our call, to their risk assessment team. And I was like, I hope they have it, because someone's going to get the craziest barrel the world's ever seen today. Turns out heaps of the boys did, and not many got made. But yeah, that was a wild.
Shout out to Richie Vass.
Yeah, played Vass.
How good was that?
Jughead, Kobe, all those guys were charging. Ryan Hipwood, like, those guys were putting themselves in the gnarliest position I've ever seen in surfing, and we were just had the front row seat, and if you had to, we had to dive in and swim. I had flippers on, so I felt pretty comfortable in and around there. You're super close to the rocks, which obviously adds that danger. But yeah, I had the front row seat to the best show I'd ever seen at the time, so it was pretty special. And I've done the one at Shipsterns, and for me, it's a buzz. Like, I know it's a dangerous job, and I know that putting I'm willing to put myself in that position to save. Vass and I've been mates with those guys for 30 years almost, so I'd do whatever it takes to go and save him. But those guys are so capable, and every time he gets smashed, you think he's dead. Vass pops up and laughs, and goes, yeah, no, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, mate, there's something wrong with you.
Special human, that guy.
Yes, but all of them know what they do. That's what they do for a living. So for us, it's just about making sure if something goes wrong, like when Jughead hit his head on the reef and knocked himself out, that we were able to get him there and get him patched up and off to an ambulance. And that's our role. I love it. I'd do more of those events if I could.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What was jumping in the water at Shippy's like? Because it's not the friendliest looking place in the world.
Nah, that's more intimidating. I'd like just swimming. I'd rather be almost in the whitewash getting pummeled than swimming in the channel, just because I don't know what's below me in the channel down there. There's a lot of big fish around down there. So, yeah, I mean, down there we probably don't swim as much as we do, say, at Cape Fear, because it's a bit bigger playing field. Whereas at Cape Fear, I could swim in the water. At the Sydney one, you can swim in the water and you kind of know where they're going to fall. If they don't fall, they go past you and they're happy days anyway.
Yeah.
But I was like being able to sit right in that impact zone just 10 metres off the ledge, and I could be in there before that next wave came, and then the jet ski would loop on the next wave. So that was a bit of a thing. We trained there heaps. Like we went there in swells when it was flat, climbed in and around the rocks, spent time. So, the more, it's like anything, the more you prepare, the better you'll be when shit hits the fan. And we wanted to be as prepared. Like the guys at Pro Guarding who kind of run that space, I reckon, in Australia, they're the top. Which was one of our lifeguards. He was my boss at Waverly for 15 years or whatever. He's one of the best watermen and most calculated guy when it comes to safety. They're doing movies and TV shows and all those events. And for me, I know who else is in that team. And if I get hurt, someone will be there just as quick to get me. So you're pretty safe as much as you can be.
I think you're full of shit. You know your trade though, mate. That's the big difference, isn't it? Like, and you got the confidence in yourself. Do you do a lot of swim training around that?
Yeah, like when I know there's one of those events coming up, I'll spend more time swimming for sure.
And how does your training change leading? I mean, obviously you've got your E-Lab style training and your run swim stuff you do, but how does it change leading into a major, because they are major events?
Yeah. Like I find, like for me personally, I've never been like a full gym weight, like lifting a lot of weights kind of guy. I love my surfing. I love, running. Swimming for me, I find very relaxing. It's kind of like you're almost deaf in there. You can fill your ears with blue tack and no one can annoy you. Yeah. So you can kind of get away. And I find that for me is almost like recovery sessions to the other ones. E-Lab's a lot of functional movements and, that's where I lift my weights. If I'm going to lift weights, hit our strength classes and do those. So I like to have a real mix of training as a base. I've always enjoyed the cardio side of stuff. I've got a good engine that I know I can push, and that's where the endurance events come. And once I sign up to something like that, or, once those kind of big wave water safety events come around, I just tailor my training to what I need to do. Like when I did the channel, everything else had to take a backward step. Yeah. Surfing included, which was painful, but if the waves were good and I had to do a 3-hour swim, I had to do the 3-hour swim before I could go surfing. And after 3 hours of swimming, the chances of wanting to go surfing are pretty slim. So I gave up a lot of surfing for that year. But yeah, I make a plan, and once I know how my body works, and I know I'm better off being probably a little bit underdone than overcooked, and hope for the best on the day. But yeah, I tailor all my training around whatever event I've got coming up. And I ran the marathon up here. I hadn't run for a few years really, and so I signed up to the Gold Coast Marathon last year and came up with a few mates, and we had the best weekend ever. And it hurt. Toenails are still recovering, a couple of them, but what an event just to sign up to and put yourself out there. And if you come unstuck, you can work out what went wrong and you get better for next time. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'm a massive fan of people putting themselves out there and giving something a crack. I don't care whether you fail at the event. Signing up is a success in my eyes. And that's a lot of my mates have signed up and done some pretty crazy things. The fact that they finished was a bonus. Yeah. The fact that they signed up, and I learnt way more in training for the English Channel than I got out of the day itself. The day itself to me was nowhere near as bad as I thought it would be. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be on the day. But I think, my preparation was pretty good. And as we spoke about before, my mind at 40 was so much stronger and more capable than it was 15 years ago, that mentally I was good the whole way, so I never thought I wasn't going to make it once I got about halfway across. But yeah, tailoring your training, seeing the right people, getting a coach. Yeah. I need, you always, no matter how good you are at something, someone's better than you. Yeah. So get help, see that person, get a coach, get better yourself. Yeah, I love it. So mate, you've swum the channel, you've looked after some crazy events, you've moved 1,000 Ks from the
the safety net. And like to move at 40, 1,000 Ks, you've got an established business, great clientele. What is next for you?
Mate, for me, I think at this stage in my life, with the kids, I want to be really present with them for this next few years while they're at that age where they still want to hang out with you. Yeah. That to me is pretty important. For me personally, I want to do the Coolangatta Gold next year.
There you go.
I've never paddled a ski, like a surf ski, so I've sent a couple of messages out to.
That sounds weird when you think of a lifeguard.
Well, it's not that we don't.
That's
use
a clubby, not a lifeguard.
It's
exactly.
The difference, I guess, but. Yeah. I jumped on one down at Bondi a couple of years ago. It took me 45 minutes to get to North Bondi and back, and I was black on my hips from climbing back into the thing. So I've messaged Matty Bevilacqua and
you've picked the right man.
Yeah, well, him, and I know there's a couple of other guys on the BSC team that can might be able to help me out. So yeah, they've got a tough job, but the ski and the ski will be tough, but the run, swim, and the paddle, I know I can push through. So, yeah, that for me, I think, it should be around that 6 hour kind of goal. And I feel that's where my body's at its best in things that are long enough that you've got to back off the speed just a bit. But, yeah, where you can still kind of try and push it in that zone for a long time is where I feel mentally and physically I'm at my best.
Yeah. You dragging any of the boys along to do that with you?
Don't know if I'll get many. A few of them have said they might try and look at a team, which would also be good because at least then you've got people to laugh and chat with along the way if you got a few. But, Reedy will come up and he'll run around like a madman, running support for me if I need it. So just him yapping at your heels the whole day, that'll get you through anything, I promise.
Yeah, because he did the channel with you as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he came over. He spent a lot of time. He gave up a lot of his time. So did a lot of people. But, he did a fair bit of help, in the lead up to it, and then came over, spent the week with me and the family. Just being that guy that made everything easier, organised a lot of stuff that I didn't want to have to be thinking about when I was trying to focus on other stuff. And him and, Gina, my wife, they get along real well. So it was like having a friend for her to take a bit of the stress off her and the kids. So, and once we got on the boat, he was in charge of updating everyone, which he did a great job of. So I've heard. I wasn't paying too much attention to him filming himself on the boat, but I know he was sunburnt and tired by the end, so he must have been working hard.
Yeah, that's good.
He did swim half an hour because people can jump in sporadically and have to swim like just a bit back from you.
Yeah.
He got out after half an hour. I stopped for my next feed. He goes, "This is horrible. I would never do this." That was about 7 hours in. So I was like, yeah, man, it's not the best out here.
That's nothing like a bit of motivation at the 7th hour. Mate, is there anyone you want to, do you want to tell people what you're doing is your swim rum club at Crumman? Do you want to tell people about this stuff? Or,
I mean, it's something that I've always loved. The beach and the ocean. I've always found lifeguarding at our lifeguard test, that transition from swimming and running, swimming and running has always been a real challenge for a lot of people, myself included. And so I've got a bit of a crew forming down at Crumman at the alley there, and we're going to start hitting at 5:30 Mondays and Wednesdays, all levels, even the crew we've got now, which are just mates to start with, and we'll build from there. But anyone who wants to come down, you can get in touch with me on Insta, and as long as you can swim, then all levels of speed and that don't make a difference. You just, safety-wise, I want everyone to be able to swim, and I'll keep an eye on that and watch people that I don't know. But, it's just a fun way of getting a 45-minute session in. You're in the ocean. We can use the safety of different parts of the creek for when the conditions change and the tides are moving. So, it'll be a great kind of, I'm excited to see what comes of it because people don't think they can do things, and they'll come and do a couple of sessions, and even the improvements of the boys over this first couple of weeks. There's a swim run race up here that just happened a few weeks ago, so I'll try and get a few of them signed up for that. I think goals.
Yeah, awesome.
Sign yourself up for something that scares you and then work out how to finish it is a really big motto. And I'm pretty lucky back at home in Sydney. Got a couple of people around that are very in that space. Harry Garside, the boxer, the way he sets goals and the discipline that guy has is second to none. And he's just qualified for the Olympics. So I'll be keen as to watch him, his journey, and Ned Brockman is another one. Yeah. You don't have to run across Australia, but the way he approaches life, I think, is pretty cool. And I take a lot of it. They're a lot younger than me, those guys, but I take a lot of inspiration out of that and just give it a crack. Yeah. What do you got to lose?
Yeah, exactly. Monday, Wednesdays, 5:30, Crumban. And what's your Insta?
Whippet_. So at Whippet_. Find me on there. Hit me up. Get you down. Come and have a couple of run swims.
Mondays.
You'll be down there on Mondays. Yeah. We'll introduce a bit of paddling stuff as well.
I'm going to introduce a new one called Swim, Run, Walk.
That's right. It doesn't matter your speed. The good thing with that sort of those short loops is that the faster crew can do 6 laps.
Yep.
Some can do 4. Some can get a couple out. Maybe after 3 weeks, they might get 3 laps out, 4 laps in a month after that. So I don't really care what people do as long as they're pushing themselves. And I think that in life is pretty, you know, like it resonates with a lot of people. You don't always have to be the best at everything or anything, but you just got to have a go. And if you're seeing improvements, then that's where it's at. And for me, like, as we talked about before, being 40 now, I reckon realistically, physically and mentally, my best years can still be ahead of me. So I'm hoping that, moving into my 40s, that you can keep creating enough stuff that will make me better than I was in my 30s. But like, you know, discipline, I think, comes better as you get older.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And discipline is the key to success in anything, really. So yeah, I'm super excited to try and be, you know, better in my 40s than I was in my 30s. Depending on what that looks like, yes, I might not be as fast over a short distance or whatever. I might have been able to do some things better, mobility-wise, whatever, but I feel like I can still improve. And for the state of your age, you know, you can always improve to be better than what you could be at the same age. So that for me is like, you look at Kelly Slater, the guy's 50. One or whatever, he still moves unbelievably. Yeah, he's had a stack of injuries, but who wouldn't when you've surfed like he has for 45 years kind of thing. So yeah, like I look at him and I think if he can still be surfing, I won't ever surf like that. But I can still surf well at 45 or 50 with the kids, and that's epic.
Yeah.
So don't stop making products.
Exactly. And we'll keep our promise and stay aspirational, mate. I love it. Thanks for coming on.
Mate, thanks for having me.
Perfect.